Hello, good morning, good afternoon, depends on where you are. I'd like to start by thanking the IEEE site committee for the invitation to this workshop. And I want to present our project, which was funded by IEEE RAS site briefly, and I'll tell you a bit about our initiative at the American University of Beirut, which is called the Humanitarian Engineering Initiative. This is a quick overview of the table of content of the presentation. The Humanitarian Engineering Initiative started as a partnership between the Faculty of Health Sciences and the Maroon Samaan Faculty of Engineering and Architecture here at AUB with several partners within Lebanon and outside Lebanon. What we do, this is a broad initiative really that is at the intersection of health in the broad sense and engineering also in a broad sense. Truly a multidisciplinary initiative that tries to bring in experts and students from different domains around these two topics and at the intersection of these topics to work on humanitarian projects, whether they are educational in nature or research in nature or service-based type of projects. So we do things related to courses on the academic side. We do workshops. We have several partnerships and collaborations that span several international organizations. Some of the examples of the projects that we have, there's several of those. I wanted to highlight some of them to give you an idea of the breadth of the projects that we've been engaged in. The first one is our flagship event. This is kind of what started everything. Before we became an initiative, we really started with simply a course, and this initially even started as a 3-day workshop hackathon, and then evolved into a regular course. The course is called Designing Solutions for Health Challenges in Crises. And the idea is to bring students and mentors and faculty and professionals together, and they would work together over 3 weeks, very intensive, full-time, 3-week engagement, where we would have lectures from several experts and faculty members. We would have several field visits to the topic of focus, the challenging environment that we've been addressing, our refugee camps in Lebanon. So the field visits were targeted at those. And then we have several mentoring sessions throughout. So students get broken up in teams and they work on projects with mentors both from engineering and from public health. And they eventually conclude with a hackathon that they would devise some intervention to address the problem that they've identified. And we follow up with students in many of those cases, even beyond the course, to try to take their ideas further and beyond the end of the course. That led us really to where we are today. We are developing, in the final stages of developing, a minor program here at AUB that is for all majors. So almost any student with any major could take that minor in humanitarian engineering and public health innovations. And in parallel, similarly, we're designing a diploma, an academic diploma, which students or professionals in the field would be able to take it on the same topic, but clearly the diploma is a graduate one, so the courses mostly are graduate courses in that case. Most recently, we were engaged in the design and the development of Ma'an app. It's called Together. So basically, the slogan for it is Together Against Corona. It is a partnership between our initiative, the Ministry of Public Health, and TEDMOB, a local company. And with this collaboration, we were able to develop this official contact tracing app for Lebanon. And really all was done on a volunteer base by a large group of faculty members from AUB working with these two organizations. And we've followed all the guidelines, WHO guidelines, to make sure privacy and security are preserved. And if somebody's interested in more of these details, interested to look up the app, these are some links here on the slide that can help you check this application out. Regarding the project that we're discussing today, Humanitarian Innovation, it's a portable lab, training, workshop, and hackathon. This is a project that was funded by IEEE RAS site and about a year ago now, even more than a year. And the idea is to expose high school students to robotics and instrumentation and digital technologies in general, including 3D printing, so that they could have the basics needed to design robots to serve the community. This was the overarching umbrella that we had. So this way we could develop this portable lab that they could check out and use and have in their schools to work on such projects under the supervision of their teachers. So the motivation is really to push this technology that is very common for us now in robotics and automation, but focusing on underprivileged students, both in public schools and in some of the underserved areas for private schools even, and to have this access to these technologies that otherwise they would not have had. And at the same time, empower them with design thinking capabilities where they will be able to look at robotics and automation solutions as something that could be accessible and affordable to solve some of the problems and challenges that they see in their communities. And we were hoping that this mobile lab would be something that they could use in the schools, so that once we go through the training of the trainers, of the teachers, and we do the workshops with the students, we would eventually also have a common hackathon where the teachers will oversee the students going through the hackathon ideation and then prototyping. And this way, at the end, we would have this portable lab, teachers and students that are have gone through the training and the workshops, and we would have conducted the hackathon. These are the primary phases. The initial plan was to have this done relatively quickly, within 4 to 6 months. Phase one would be the material development of the workshops, and we're working through our institute site to work with the students, the IEEE student branch here in engineering. We work with them to develop the scope, the detailed content, the presentations needed, what procurement, so the BOQ that we would need to buy to prepare for the workshop. And that basically that part is almost completely done. The second part was to build that portable lab by the components that are needed, and some of that had been done. We've done that already, some parts of it, but not all of them. And now we'll talk about a timeline, and you can see what some of the challenges we've been facing to actually implement the project. And the third phase, which is still on hold, is really to conduct the training, the workshop, and the hackathon for the teachers and the students, and then to put them together and have them work on some of these ideas. So this kind of becomes a model that they could duplicate every year, and with having these resources available for them and this lab is available, they would only have to worry about some of the perishable items, and this way we would have some level of sustainability of these activities in these underprivileged schools. This is mainly the initial project timeline with some updates. We started this around May 2019 when it was accepted for funding, and unfortunately in the fall of 2019 Lebanon there was an uprising, and that kind of slowed things down. Immediately after that, as we all know, COVID hit the world and everything closed up. We tried to maintain some activities of the project by doing some procurement and working on preparing and designing the training material, and that is, as I mentioned, is almost completely done. We were hoping that somewhere in May of 2020 towards the end of the school year, we would be able to conduct the training and the workshops and the hackathon. However, due to the COVID situation and all the closures and the lockdown, that was not possible. We did not have access, and we didn't feel it's safe to actually bring in students and teachers and our students in such an environment. And that has been on hold till today. So now we're into November, and we have communicated with the Ministry of Education and Higher Education in Lebanon to get the proper approvals to access the schools, because as I mentioned, some of these are public schools. Most of them are public, probably. Um, and so we've had that lined up and we're ready, but we still do not have the physical access. And having hardware and a lab and 3D printing makes it a kind of a difficult situation for us to do this remotely or a virtual hackathon. So we've had conducted in the previous year, in some cases, virtual hackathons, but in this particular case, we do not feel that this would be a successful initiative. It is if it's done completely virtual. So this is where we stand. We're still waiting, hoping that schools would start opening up. There's a bit of that, the light at the end of the tunnel, where we see some of the schools opening up. So we're hoping that either towards the end of this calendar year or early in the spring, we would be able to seriously consider restarting and running these workshop and these training sessions. So this is where we stand on this project. This is an overview of the initiative that we have at AUB. These are the initiative coordinators, and the link and email if anybody is interested to contact us for anything that we mentioned or any even collaboration that you might be interested in with the initiative. We look forward to that. And again, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to present this project. Have a good day.